What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? We'll see if that works for long. Hello and welcome back. To another video. I'm gonna have to change the batteries on that, apparently. We'll deal with this for now. All in divine timing. Hello, and welcome back to another video. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. So I want to talk about a question that I actually get more than you realize, and heard someone else talking about it the other day. A couple someones actually, in different contexts, including a book that I was listening to. And so I thought I would address this topic because many people have different feelings on this topic, so I thought I would get into it because I have a bit of experience with it, not just personally, but as well with working with others. So this question I get: do you have to be completely dry, sober, straight edge all the time to live a spiritual life? And most people would say yes. You have to be completely sober, completely clean, no alcohol, no drugs. Some people might be down with some pot or some alcohol every once in a while. For the most part, the people who are deepest into their spiritual practices will often say that you need to be clean and sober to have a true spiritual practice going on in your life, living the spiritual life on the spiritual path. In my experience, these are people who used to be drug addicts of some sort. So for them, they had to get clean and sober to live up to their spiritual potential, because when you have any sort of addictions in your life, they are going to interfere with living a truly spiritual life. Because when it comes down to it, whether you're into a particular religious denomination or into spirituality in general, we find that with the spiritual awakening, the goal of living a spiritual life is what I call unshakable peace, being able to live a happy and healthy life, thriving without letting others get to you, basically. Being able to choose yourself when you decide to experience any sort of upset rather than having yourself be triggered all the time. So in this sense, whether it be a mental or a physical addiction, this is going to stand in your way of living the spiritual lifestyle. Agreed. That being said, if you don't experience addictive tendencies, and some who experience addictive tendencies, as I was reminded today, don't believe that their tendencies are addictive. So what I want to say to this is that it's about doing things with intention. If you are using substances, inebriants, to experience any sort of escape from life, this is going to interfere with living a spiritual life. As I say about self-care, one of my favorite quotes about self-care is, self-care isn't about escaping from life. Self-care is about building a life you don't regularly want to escape from. Self-care, in that sense, is a massive spiritual practice. So if you can partake in a glass of wine at dinner once a month, once a week, with intention, without it being an escape, because I'm one who would know, many people think that this idea that, I drink alcohol for the taste. The only people who find that a ridiculous sentiment are the people who only drink to get drunk. That said, there are those of us in the world who can actually enjoy the taste of an alcoholic beverage when it is made right. So if you can partake in something like alcohol with intention, without using it as a method of escape, there is no reason why that would stand in your way from truly fulfilling your spiritual purpose and living your spiritual life. Marijuana, pot, is another example where there are many people that I have worked with and had as friends and boyfriends in my life who have smoked pot as a medicinal practice. And what I've been able to see from that is that depending on how you choose to partake in something like pot, marijuana, cannabis, THC specifically, but even cannabinoids in general, if you're using them for their medicinal properties only on a physical level, then yeah. If you feel chemically imbalanced and you use them to stabilize yourself for a period of time while you work towards alternate ways of getting that chemical balance under control. Or, for instance, there are people who were just born chemically imbalanced who use marijuana medicinally to stabilize their hormones. That is also not going to prevent you from living your spiritual purpose. But as I say, the only meaning anything has is the meaning we give it. And one of my favorite things that I was told today when having this conversation with somebody else before I filmed this video to get some extra ideas was his sponsor used to say to him, it's between you and God. Because deep down, you know. You can make all the excuses in the world. You can be in all the denial in the world. But you have to be in some pretty heavy delusional denial to not know deep down that those excuses are excuses. So you're going to know whether or not you're using inebriants of any kind as an escape. Another thing that came up in this conversation was things like hallucinogenics, things like mushrooms and LSD. I want to mention from here on out that I am not encouraging anyone to partake in any sort of illegal activity. I should have probably said that with the pot. I just live in California and pot's been a thing for a long time. Especially now, pot's been like legalized for a while and had been medically legal for a long time. So I want to start this by saying that I am not encouraging anyone to do anything illegal. That was one of the things that I loved that Anton LaVey talked about in the Satanic Bible, was to do something illegal goes against your best interest. So just understanding that from a human standpoint, you might go to another country and do something there that's not illegal, that would be illegal where you live. You then have to judge for yourself, because whether or not it's legal is not always something you can use to measure whether or not it's healthy or right. Just as normality and things being normal is not necessarily a measure of health, or not a measure of whether or not it's healthy. So things like people having psychedelic experiences with psychedelics. Sorry. People having what they communicate as spiritual experiences on psychedelics. This is something that I don't want to get too deep into here for the sake of time, because I want to keep this a little shorter. That's the word I was looking for. In the conversation that I had today, we started to discern the difference between mind opening and mind expanding experiences and spiritual experiences. And this is my new favorite saying, amongst many other favorite sayings. I can't ever just pick one. If you can't see God in everything, you can't see God in anything. If you can't see God in everyone, you can't see God in anyone. And that includes yourself. So if you think you require some sort of psychedelic experience to connect with God, you're doing it for the wrong reason. In my experience, these psychedelic experiences that we associate with spirituality, it's because they are mind expanding, they are mind opening, and that can, for a time, sometimes help you connect with that spiritual connection you already have. But it's also, for that same reason, why people who have a lacking of or are devoid in their spiritual connection, though you cannot ever sever it entirely, can have really bad trips. You can have a bad trip, man. So we want to keep this all in mind. So in the grand scheme of things, do you have to be straight edge, dry county, clean and sober to live a spiritual life? I would say no. But it depends. It depends on who you are. As a general statement, I would say no. No, you do not have to be completely and utterly clean and sober and devoid of all inebriants to live a really great spiritual life. That said, depending on who you are and what your tendencies are, especially even if they're mental addictions, and that can be things like food, caffeine, cigarettes, which is also a physical addiction. There are some addictions that are both physical and mental, like certain chemical things, like caffeine is even a physical as well as a mental addiction. People have mental addictions to food. People have mental addictions to sex. People have mental addictions to gambling. Because when it all comes down to it, even the mental addictions are physical because they have to do with our brain chemistry. And a physical addiction is as well just a stronger effect of brain chemistry, having an effect on the body as well as the mind. So on a spectrum of addictions, you range from mental addictions that affect your brain chemistry but don't go so deep and so strong as to affect your body. And then those same hormones can affect not only your mind, but your body, put your body into extreme bouts of pain because it goes beyond just our mental understanding and our mental experience of the addiction, but we experience that addiction in our body. And that's how you can tell, really, in the grand scheme of things when it comes to anything. whether it be addictions or just general emotions. How strong is it? Because on the weakest side, you're going to just experience it in your mind in the way you perceive it. And on the strongest side, you're going to feel it not just in your mind, but in your body. Because the chemicals that you are experiencing, the chemical interactions you're experiencing in your brain are so intense that it not only affects the way you think, but starts to affect your body. So if you can partake in something without any addiction whatsoever, any dependency whatsoever, any habituation whatsoever, because you might not think you're addicted, but if you feel like you need to do it regularly, even if you feel like you want to do it regularly, if you're doing it regularly, I would say it's time to let it go. So it does. It depends. And that's why, there's some videos like this that I have waited to film, and why I don't just do self-study courses. I do one-on-one work with clients the most, because there are a lot of things like this where I can't give you the answer for you without knowing you, without meeting you. And I'm hoping that by sharing this with you, that whoever you are watching this, out of any of the people who watch this, that you can start discerning it for yourself. But I can't tell you which one of these people you are. I can't tell you if you're the kind of person who really has an addiction, but can't tell. Because when you really have an addiction, you know it. Even if you won't admit it to others, you know it. Versus the people who are addicted, but they say they could take it or leave it, and they could kind of take it or leave it, but their inclination is to go back to it. Versus someone who genuinely can take it or leave it, and most of the time they leave it. Versus the people who don't do anything at all. The bottom line, it comes down to doing things with it, being able to do things with intention. And if you don't know what that means, maybe I should do a video on that. But to make it clear, doing things with intention, because to be fair, you could do something out of a means to want to escape with intention in that sense. But that's not what I mean, because if you're doing it to escape, you're not doing it with presence. So most of the time when anybody in the spiritual community talks about doing something with intention, they also mean with presence of mind. And that's something to understand the differentiation between, because you can go escape with intention to escape. That's not what we mean. With intention also means with active presence of mind, being mindful in the moment, being aware of the moment during the entire time that you're experiencing it. So drinking that glass of wine with the food you're eating, and being able to appreciate the tastes as they combine and pair and sit side by side with every bite and every sip. Not just drinking for the sake of trying to get inebriated. Actively going out and seeking out maybe even a group ritual where you end up having some sort of psychedelic experience. And you can do this without any drugs of any kind or any inebriants of any kind whatsoever. We do it all the time in my Caro practice. We have some pretty cool psychedelic experiences with some really, really interesting, natural, all natural, high on life experiences. Including these meteorites that we have. But yeah. So, if you're going to choose to partake in something that is considered, I mean, everything's going to change your brain chemistry, period. Wow, I did not see this conversation going this long. I expected to make this like a 5-6 minute conversation. We are at 20 minutes. Interesting. Anyway, to wrap this up, and now I don't remember what I'm saying. So this is clearly where I meant to end, because I don't remember where I was going with that, and I'm not going to go back and find out, because I'm going to assume that I'm not supposed to talk about it. So, yeah. Doing things with intention are important. Recognizing that you can get high on life and don't have to use any sort of synthetic chemical or even natural chemical inebriant or to do it. That's kind of what I think I was just saying, was that, you know, everything we experience in life is changing our brain chemistry. Our brain chemistry, especially women, females after puberty, you know, cyclically experience brain chemistry changes monthly, like throughout the month, multiple times. So if it is artificially, meaning not created in your body by what is already in your body that you were born with, or created naturally after that. Natural, when I talk about natural chemicals, I'm not talking about pot, I'm not talking about mushrooms, I'm not talking about tobacco. Those are chemical inebriants that come from outside of you. Just because they can get in you doesn't mean they come from within you. Anyway, so just keep that in mind. When it comes down to it, it's going to be all up to you. It's going to be between you and God. But you're going to know. And you might want to make excuses, but the faster you can get over those excuses, the faster you can actually be living an even more spiritual, healthy, and happy life. So yeah. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. That includes my Patreon, where if you're enjoying my content here, you will absolutely love my Patreon. It is where I get deeper into the spiritual and the practical when it comes to making your life, as I say, kinder and simpler, happier and healthier. I have everything from more one-off videos that just get deeper into these concepts, to courses, mini-series, workshops, guided meditations, journal exercises, all sorts of amazing stuff over there. I have my one-on-one sessions where I work with you one-on-one, I almost said one-on-one either multiple times a month, multiple times a week. I have all sorts of personalizations. You can either sign up for a session package, which commits you to a certain amount of sessions for what you've paid, and then we can personalize it from there, whether you do it once every other week, and what we work on will be completely personalized to you, whether we work from the program that I have available or we just do it free flow. You can also sign up for a free clarity call if you have any questions about my one-on-one. And you can also sign up for my free clarity call if you have any questions about dōTERRA. dōTERRA is another link that I have in there, my link to dōTERRA. And dōTERRA is your one-stop shop for all of the best, most pure, cleanest plant-based products that actually work. If you had any experiences with plant-based products like I have, it's a gamble sometimes. dōTERRA is the cleanest, most pure plant-based products and plant medicine you will find on the market. So if you're trying to get rid of all the synthetic chemical-based crap in your life and replace it with pure plant medicine and plant-based products, dōTERRA is your one-stop shop. I accept free clarity calls for talking dōTERRA as well. You can also email me anytime. My email is in the description, as well as other links like to my email list. I will be putting out that survey very, very soon. So if you'd like to get in on, if you'd like to let me know what you think and what you want to see when it comes to all the things that I'm doing, you should sign up for my email list before I put this survey out, because I would love to hear from you. And I only do 1 email a month. That's it. At the most, sometimes I do 2. Most of the time, I don't do any. Like, I think I went 3 months without sending an email up until the last one I sent. So you're not going to love to hate being on my email list. You only hear from me when I've got new things to talk about. And I don't find just any old thing to say is new to talk about. And yeah, as always, may the energies you serve you well. And let's keep making our way through.